Today is a day much like my other videos, except for one minor difference. Today, rather than choosing a location and then some gear, I decided to choose the gear first. I recently purchased a Canon FD to Fuji X adapter since it was on sale with Prime Days. Woo, capitalism. Anyways, I didn't choose the location based on anything besides necessity. We're doing some renovations at home, and we're short a number of washers, of all things. Since the hardware store is only a few kilometers away, stay tuned for that later, I decided to bring out the camera with one of my vintage lenses. As the title suggests, I'm using the Canon FD 35 to 105mm f3.5 macro lens. It is a remarkable lens that I don't see a lot of people using. It's very crisp, with internal zoom, meaning that it doesn't extend when you zoom in. And it has a constant f3.5 aperture. Not only that, it has a close focus switch that allows for some beautifully rendered detail shots. I've had this lens for a while now and have only used it occasionally for video when I'm working on creative projects. But mostly, I got it because it's one of the first lenses I could afford that was versatile enough for me to do some paid work with. I've been using vintage lenses since my first mirrorless camera some 6 years ago. At the time, it was all I could afford. I basically lived on a cheap 50mm f1.8 until I worked enough where I could buy some modern lenses. But the story doesn't end there. I fell in love with the odd characteristics of vintage lenses and found that a lot of modern lenses were too safe. They didn't always speak to me the same way as their predecessors. I find that has carried forward in the way I approach the work that I do. Character outweighs technical perfection on nearly all fronts. There's a rawness that draws me in as both a creator and a viewer. I think that's what brought me to Fuji as a brand. I've been using them for nearly 6 months now, and they were already doing in camera what I was doing in post. And with the type of work I am creating through this channel, the less work, the better, since this is supposed to be casual and fun. However, that's not to say that you should run out and buy a Fuji camera, or this vintage lens, or whatever someone on YouTube tells you works for them. I think we can all fall victim to seeing what someone else has and thinking that if only I were to have what they have, I would be able to achieve the level of work or artistry that they have. Really, when it comes down to it, as long as the work you do speaks to you as an artist, I don't really care which equipment you're using, whether camera body, lens, or editing software. A lot of that is a great way to distract yourself from getting up off the couch and playing around with what you already have. Really, go out and try things. Mess around. Play. It's the only real way to improve, to find your own voice. Find out what speaks to you, and I think you'll be happier overall. Okay, now it's time to buy some washers. Thanks for coming along on this walk with me. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, adios.